باب مفتوح للاجتهادات التقريب. هذا حد العالم، هذا طالب، هذا راسخ والى اخره.
Okay guys, finally I'm back to show y'all that full set that me and Kato did at the green gym. So right now it's going to be 10 weighted squats to 10 weighted pull-ups to 10 weighted dips. Then you're going to drop that weight and do 20 body weight pull-ups, 20 body weight dips, and then 20 body weight push-ups. This was the hardest set I've ever did, and actually we went 3 rounds. Now you can see right here he's doing less weight. I think that's about 185, but the first round we did 3 times. The second round, which is this round here, we also did it 3 times, and then the last round was all body weight, and we did that 2 times. So the first round was 225 on the squats. I went way lighter than that, and then we went 70 pounds on the kettlebell. So on the pull-ups and the dips, and we had about 5 reps for the pull-ups and the dips. But you see here with the 45 plates, we're going to be doing 10 pull-ups and 10 dips. Stay tuned to watch my set next. This was actually the 4th set, 2nd round, and this was the first time that I broke. For the 70-pound kettlebell, yo, I don't know how I did it, but I went through 3 rounds of that without breaking, and as you can see, everything is back to back. So the first man goes up, he does everything, bang, boom, bam. It's no I go, you go. No, you finish everything, the pull-up, push-ups, dips, as well as the squats. So watch us work, man. See my set next, which is the 2nd round, and it was a struggle, man. Shout out to Kato, shout out to Doc. Shout out also to Rebel that was also in this with us. And my homeboy right there sitting down with the braids. I forgot his name. I didn't catch it. Shout out to him because he joined the set with us and came late. And he put that work in, man. Stay tuned and stay ripped.
Questions from Melbourne. With regards to slavery that's permissible in Islam and the slavery that was practiced in America and elsewhere. I would say is that there are things that are the same. And there are things that are different slightly. And there are things that are very different. So the parallels between slavery that is allowed in Islam and slavery that is or was practiced in the South or other parts of the world, a slave is a slave. I treat you kindly, I treat you harshly, I beat you, whatever I do to you, but you're a slave. The concept of bondage and putting a price on a human being and another human being owning another human being, that in itself is a deep concept. Okay, and the concept of free versus slave, that's just going to be the same no matter what. I treat the slave like my blood, better than my own blood. Slavery is slavery in general. All right? Everyone understand this? As far as things that are slightly different, then of course, with regards to rights of slaves, responsibilities of slaves, rewards of slaves, okay? And I think the foundation of all of that is the true teachings of the religion. The true teaching of the religion, or the true teachings of the religion, okay, in which the gospel is quoted for you to remain subservient and obedient to me. But anything other than that, the gospel is never quoted. Jesus was a kind man, a patient man, a tolerant man, a forbearing man, a clement man. But I beat you until I rip your skin open with a coarse, thick leather whip. Would Jesus do that? Would Christ beat someone like that? Okay, and we know that one of the most important principles of the abolitionist movement and before the Civil War, etc., between the North and the South, the Yankees and those that were in the South, the rich, cultured people, etc., is slavery an abomination or not? And is it mandated by God or not? So those who are in the South, they clearly said that slavery is allowed. Slavery was mentioned in the First Testament. Abraham had slaves. Solomon had slaves. This prophet, this righteous person had slaves. And the New Testament did not abolish that. It did not mention that you have to free them and manumission all of them. And those who were in the North, they said there was an abomination. The peculiar, institution. This society of treating people like this, degrading them, dehumanizing them, etc. And you're opposing the way of Christ. You're opposing the way of Christianity. You're opposing the way of teaching the people that they're all children of God, what they say and what they believe. So the Southerners called them heretics. You guys are not following the teachings. And the Northerners called them hypocrites for not following all of the teachings. So the concept of talking about slavery in a religion is that you have to follow all of the rules of that religion. And that is one of the differences between Islam and the other parts of the world or other institutions. Not the Muslims. We said Islam. And that is, a slave has rights. A slave is not to be violated and railroaded, and you can do whatever you want with them. Everyone understand this? It doesn't work like that. Punishment, reward, sexual intercourse doesn't work like that. You can't just do whatever you want to do. Okay, so Islam has given detailed legislation with regards to owner, master, slave, etc. So that's one of the differences. And of course, we have other differences, greater, bigger. The concept of slavery being an institution with regards to race and color, with regards to ethnicity, with regards to age, with regards to this, and the concept of how slaves are obtained and why they're obtained, and the wisdom behind that versus other institutions. Slaves only come from this tribe. Slaves only come from this continent. Slaves only come from women. Slaves only come from people who are this. So there are differences. There are differences. At the end of the day, the concept of slavery is always going to be a sensitive topic. It's always going to be a very extremely delicate topic. There's no doubt about that. For people that are black and people that are white. Black people who actually felt and are still feeling the effects of slavery to this day in 2019. And it's easy for someone who comes from Palestine or comes from Pakistan or comes from Somalia to say this and to say that. It's easy for you to say, oh, look at black people in America, they're like this, they're like that. That's easy for you to say. And maybe they are. Or maybe some of that is true. But that's what? It's easy for you to say. You don't know what it's like to come from this. You don't know what it's like to be born into this. You don't know what it's like to this father and mother. You don't know. You have no what? Clue of the level of atrocity and subhuman treatment. You don't have an idea. And just because the emancipation, the proclamation, right? Just because that happened, that doesn't mean that what? Slavery was over. People were still in bondage, let alone Willie Lynch and civil rights up to this day. Up to this day. So you don't have a clue, all right? You don't have an idea. So that's food for thought. And be mindful of what you say. And you don't have an idea what slavery is like for white people. As an author of a book about slavery once said that slavery, this was her opinion, I'm not saying I believe this, said it in Islam, she said slavery is a curse to the black and to the white. And the people that have to live with tremendous guilt and shame. And people who pump and promote and propagate treatment of women, human rights, and so on and so forth. Your whole entire family lineage came from the violation of human rights according to you. Everything that you own and have, this city, this capital, these buildings were made from people that were violated according to what you're so they have a tremendous amount of guilt and shame. You understand what I'm saying to you? And the people trying to bridge the gaps of race and class is oftentimes what? Extremely hectic. Someone tries to make a joke. Hey, isn't that right? You guys are good at what? Oh, yeah, I like, whoa, slow down. And the person wasn't trying to be racist. And he wasn't trying to make a joke about black people. He's just trying to what? So even to this day, all right? So it's a very sensitive topic. And oftentimes, people, they talk about movies being haram. It's haram to watch a movie because of music. It's haram to watch a movie because of nakedness. It's haram to watch a movie because of tasweer. Maybe. But I think one of the most negative effects of movies is that it has control over your emotions. And it paints the picture of how you're supposed to feel about a situation. You can't tell me after watching Roots, the old edition and the new edition, that you're going to just swallow that cup of slavery that easily. After watching this scene, Kunta Kinte and Kizzy being sold and taken from the plantation. It has an effect on your emotions. And the same applies to war and killing and people being killed and losing their lives. You can't have the same conception of war when you read it after watching that tear-jerking, emotional movie in which the people have millions of dollars that they spend and finding a way to pierce your heart with a needle, to impregnate your mind of how you're supposed to feel about fighting or this or that and so on and so forth. So it's very dangerous. I remember saying this. We were all raised watching that movie. If some of us actually read the book and the serious ills that were in that institution. All right? So therefore, it's going to be a difficult topic, a sensitive topic. There are people that are for it, people that are against it. There are people who talk about it with the proper knowledge is in Islam and outside of Islam. And there are going to be a lot of people, as Sheikh Sam Taymiyyah, will be al-batili tarat. وَبِالْحَقِّ, he says, people talk about Allah and His attributes and the qadr and shara bil-haqi tara. Occasionally they say the truth, and with the batil, what? Tarat, most cases. So people, black, white, who talk about slavery without the proper knowledge and without the proper education, extremists and zealots, people that are just overnight scholars on the topic, and they have a detailed explanation of it, in which they're saying all the white people did this, all the black people did that, we never did this, and so on and so forth. The facts, that's it. The truth shall set you free, in the deen and in the dunya. All right, so that's my advice. If you want to talk about slavery and discuss slavery, make sure that you go into it with an empty cup and allow facts to be the only thing that go into your what? Your cup, nothing else. Emotions, feelings, opinions, culture, but nothing but hardcore ilm. Deen, ilm, and what? Dunya ilm, with regards to what slavery was and what it what? What it wasn't. That's my advice. Allahu A'lam.
And when that lump of flesh